Today's 10 November, market open with a gap and trade downwards, down 28 point at 3106. The volume is actually low though. Over here we have very strong run-ups and we experience very deep retracements, and that kind of negate this upward move. Now previously we do have some trend characteristics, in this case actually downward trend, but this run-up has actually break through 1326 SMA. With deep retracements, market is very uncertain, so it's likely to be very choppy, and we probably see a couple of swing. Our immediate support is actually at this pivot high here, which is at 3090, and support remain at this gap here. This is at about 3130. Now let's take a look at the US markets. This is S&P 500. Daily charts, very strong run, but if you notice over the last few sessions, it kind of trade overlapping bars, so this is actually a sign of losing momentum. And prior to that, we see gaps, which is very strong, but subsequent this reversal bar here is actually a bit damaging. Now this also coincides with the downward trend line, so this is something we need to actually watch. If you take a look at the weekly charts, this is the weekly charts. This retracement breaks below the 40 weeks, which is 200 days on the daily charts, followed by a very strong upward move. So this appeared to be a resistance level to contend with. Now whether it can break through this is something that we need to observe over the next few sessions. If we trade sideways, that will generate goods. Otherwise, breaking this 40 weeks is actually negative. So this provides some level of support. This is Nasdaq, quite similar. Again, very strong run up. And we have a reversal bar on slightly increased volume. So very much depends on this evening, and if you trade a doji, that could be a temporary pause and we may expect for a downward move. And this is also coincide with this downward trend line, so it's a convenient place for people to lock in profit and for the shorties to come in. Now, Federal Reserve has also mentioned the possibility of further interest rate hike, and this is generally negative for the equity market. And this is the reason why we see this negative reactions after the announcement. This is the 10-year yield, and this is what happens. After the run up almost to 5%, it actually retraced, and this is 50 days. We managed to hold at 50 days and we see a strong bull bar here. We may expect further upward move, but right now at this point in time, a lot of things actually news driven, so it's very uncertain. But by and large, actually we can see this is actually trending. Brent crude itself has actually broke support, so this is a very significant support levels. If you notice at this level here, there was a temporary pause before breaking, and we may see further downward move. Now let's take a look at the weekly charts for clarity. So you can see actually this move is actually quite damaging. At about $70 itself, $72 itself is a very significant support. So it's not likely to break, but whatever the case may be, at this point in time, we do see that actually the Brent crude prices have actually softened quite significantly. And of course, this is probably in reaction to the news that the tensions has somewhat eased, and that may not affect the oil supply that much. Let's turn attention to some of the stock we've been discussing. This is Sembcorp Industry. Now this stock is actually very obvious. This is a direction downward move, but subsequently we can see this range expansion here. This is a range bar, and it follow through. Very huge bar here and followed by a pullback. If you take a look at the pullback itself, the volume is actually low today. So at this point in time, we do have the crossover of the 1326 SMA, and I'd like to see a break above this high here, which is at 526. This is a contraction setup. So remember, this bar high here happens before the moving average and orders. So we just ride on this momentum built in this bar here. Aztec. This is one of the few stocks that actually made 1 year high and followed by retracements. Last two bars, the volume is actually low. So at this point in time, we do have a big deeper setup. 2-bar callback high here is at 99 cents. Now remember, $1 itself is a psychological resistance. IFAS, again, these are very few stocks that actually make 1-year high. In fact, it was consolidated with a downward move before it recovered with this gap here, and notice the increase in volume, so a lot of smart money is coming in. And if you notice, actually after this brief pause here, it has been trading upwards. Today it trades itself with a small body. It's a sign of uncertainty, so it's likely to pull back. During the pullback, we look for setups to go long. Eventually like to see it test this high here of 730. Genting Singapore, there was a lot of upgrades by broking analysts, and there'll be our reactions, but at this point in time it's still too early. We like to see its break, otherwise the bet is off. So a decisive break above this level here. This is at about this is at 885. Geo Energy, this stock is stuck in a trading range. Despite weak market sentiments, it just generally trades sideways. Like to see it take out this resistance level here. If you notice, this is quite significantly tested on 5 occasions. This high here is at 31 cents. So remember, we do have a gap resistance here at about 335. CSC Global, we have a gap up here followed by a pullback, and today there was an attempt to break this. Notice the increase in volume, but didn't break this high here. So this level is important to watch, 44 cents.